Are we live?
We are. Let's just double check and we can see it happening on my page. Just, yeah. So, hello everybody. It's Deanna here, and I'm with one of my best friends, Aleah Dunfield, who has been a long time, probably my longest customer with doTERRA as well, since I've been doing these oils. And she is an entrepreneur as well. She has two businesses. She's founded the Creative Patch Design Studio and Van Brie House Portraits. And she has been just like another part of my heart through this life journey together. And it's been such a joy to get to share life together and go through our ups and downs hand in hand. Even though we're far apart, we are always together forever. So thank you, Aleah, for joining me today and discussing a bit about your journey, lessons learned, and our experiences together as we've gone through these years of using our oils. So I wanted to start out by asking, how do you feel like you've grown through your experience with the oils? Like, what did you start? How did things start for you? And then how do you feel now after having used them for years?
So I guess I'll tell the story of like how I got involved with you and your oils in the first
Yes.
place. Because I like to actually tell people that story when I try to give them like little sample bottles of some of the oil. So originally you needed some help with a website, and since I built them, I figured, I could help you out. Um, I didn't want to charge you, but when people get things for free, they don't necessarily value them. So we did an exchange of website for oils. And I have to admit, originally I was like, nah, I don't know if I'm actually going to use these. It seems a little bit like hocus pocus. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to be open to it, and I'm going to support my friend because I love you. And so I started getting the oils, and you've been like throughout the entire time an amazing help and support, because I'm not the greatest at figuring out what oil is for what, and I'm not necessarily that person that's going to read a big giant book, even though you provided me with a couple. It's just so much easier. It was easier for me to just ask you, and you know, I had some health issues, and I can explain some of that a little bit more detail after. But I started using some of the oils, and with an autoimmune disease, I remember I had my first winter where I wasn't sick, and it was like a miracle. And I went to the doctor, and she's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "How are you not sick this winter?" And I told her that I was taking these like doTERRA oils, and she's like, "Whatever it is, just keep it up." So that was kind of like a really amazing kind of turning point for me in terms of like, you know, am I just putting like snake oil in my system, or am I actually like helping my immune system? And the proof was in the pudding, basically, that at that point on, I realized that they actually do have a lot of value, especially for like helping out with immune system and, some of the other kinds of things that I use it for. So
Do you
it's
mind
been really,
sharing what you use it for? Like some of the things that you've used them for?
yeah. So, so when I moved in with my now fiance, he tends to be, as all men do, a big giant man baby when he gets sick. So he got sick once, and I told him that I use the flu bomb. So I've done like different variations on the flu bomb depending on like what it is that I feel that I maybe need for like some of the oils. And so he was like, "I'm not taking no placebo pill, blah blah blah." And so
I love this story.
yeah. So he's just like, he resisted, and I was like, just take it. I mean, if it's placebo, what's the worst that can happen? And so he took it, and I gave him the pill once every 4 hours. the flu shot pill, and then he wound up getting significantly better very quickly. And so now the running joke is every time he starts to feel a little bit sick, I give him a placebo pill. Yeah,
Awesome. I know Habs was like, oils? I don't know about this. And I remember the
yeah,
first thing he did was deep blue on his shoulder. And
yeah.
probably within 30 seconds, he looked back at me like I was a witch. He's like, what was that? Like, because he just started to notice a shift so quickly
Yeah.
with that one too. So I love
Yeah,
it.
there was in Calgary, that's where I'm at. There was a really bad flu that went around last Christmas, this like last one.
Hmm.
And Josh, like most people who got it, our neighbors got it for a month. My like siblings got it for 2 weeks and or more. Josh had it for maybe 4 days, and that was because of his placebo pills.
I know. It's so amazing. I find that, like, as an advocate too, I need to be respectful about how I speak, and I'm not a doctor, and I can't claim to, you know, I'm not a doctor, right?
Yeah,
But when people start to use the oils and have their own experiences, it's so exciting to me and it's so empowering to see the shifts that can happen. And that, yes, we do sometimes need these medical supports, but we're overusing them often for the first sort of phase of things. And if we often can look at these natural solutions first and help our bodies support themselves to really build up that immune system, to strengthen our systems, then we can really turn to those tools when we really need them and we're not in a place of being um, resistant and
yeah.
having those kinds of responses. So I'm so passionate about getting this message out to people because we often do something called sick care as well. And I think that you might attest to this, where a lot of times it's symptom management. You weren't getting to a place of better well-being. You were just able to manage through and get over each issue as it came up as your immune system was down versus really building your body up to be able to navigate better and not have all of these negative effects consistently over time. And so, anyways, I'm thankful for your story and for sharing that and
Oh,
helping people see, yeah, a bit of that
well,
experience.
even now, like I have sinus infections constantly. So it's it's just because I live in a dry climate. The ear, nose, and throat specialist was like, you basically just have to move if you don't want to get consistent sinus infections through the year. Just yay! So, but I know that if I start feeling like I'm going to get one, if I do a steam with On Guard, and I put a towel over my head, it like naps it like that. If I catch it early enough, if I don't, then it's a whole other ball game. But and Josh. So oh yeah, so I have to tell you this too.
Oh, okay.
I don't even think I told you about this. So Josh, I gave him a diffuser when we first started dating because his house was like it smelled a little bit like birds.
Right, you have two parents, everybody should
Yeah,
know.
so we have two parents. Yeah, you can't hear them. They're not screaming right now. And so I gave him a little one, and we started like diffusing oils and mixing some of them up, and some of them he like really, really loved. So he asked for a spare one so he could take it to his office. And so now in his office, he's now got like a little collection of essential oils that like apparently everybody in the office knows his office as the one that like smells amazing. And so like I've talked to some of his coworkers and they say that they come in just to like take a whiff of his office.
That's awesome. And you know what? It
Yeah.
can actually change emotional states. So it's probably putting people in a bit of a better state of mind too and giving them a little
Yeah.
breakup of their day. That's
Oh,
great. I
totally.
did not know that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like if I'm getting asthma, I run the Breathe Easy on the diffuser and I find it really helps.
Yes, I know we have Easy Air going or Breathe. There's two different names for the same product if you're in Canada or the US anyway. Just for people who are confused about what we're talking about. I put that in the diffuser for the boys consistently at night too, just because it keeps us clear through the sleeping well and keeping things kind of at bay. Um, yeah, you get into some good habits. I think of it now kind of as food. If you're consistent about it, you're keeping your systems in place and doing really well, then when things do show up for you, it's a lot quicker turnaround and you're able to navigate through it much faster. So that's
Well, and
awesome.
also too, like your gut is like your intestines
Like
are
70 to 80% of your health is in your gut. Yeah.
yeah, 70 to 80% of your immune system is there. And so when you take antibiotics, it kills essentially your immune system. So yes, it kills the bad bugs, but it also kills the good bugs. And to get those bugs back up, most people, I mean, it's really difficult. You have to kind of be on a really strict regiment to like get the gut bacteria back up. And
All
even
those
then,
fermented foods, the probiotics, the prebiotics, like it's an effort,
making
right?
bone broth from scratch, like
Yeah.
all of those things, and then having like a rigorous routine afterwards, which is really difficult. And like, this is why I try to, and Josh too, of just using oils when we can, because it's so much better on your system. Like even, taking like Buckley's, yeah, it works kind of, but the oils I find just work so much better. And like I see a difference, a significant difference quickly too, which is great.
Yeah, it does make, I agree. I do notice that they can get into your bloodstream within 30 seconds, and within 20 minutes, it's actually gone through your system and is able to affect every cell in your body. And so um, they're very powerful and very potent. One drop is like 28 cups of peppermint tea of peppermint oil, 50 to 70 times more potent than herbs. So I think we're in a culture where we always think bigger is better. We go Costco, we get the big box. But in this, it's like this small little bottle
Oh,
is so,
yeah. And also like so there's this I don't know if they have it over there or other places, but they have this store called Sage and it sells like
mhm,
essential oils and stuff. And so Josh ran out of oils and he just like popped down to for his like office diffuser, he just
mhm.
popped down to Sage and bought some essential oils and he bought the same essential oils that he uses from doTERRA and it was terrible. It smelled like cologne in his office. Like it was just rotten. And we took like the side by side of like the sage oils and then the doTERRA oils, and there was a significant difference in what it actually smelled like. Like the sage oils totally smelled synthetic, and the doTERRA actually smelled natural. So like Josh after that point, he's like, okay, fine, I'll only use doTERRA.
Well, it's interesting. I think our bodies speak really loudly. I had my friend's grandma who said that she was allergic to lavender. And I mean, we can have sensitivities. I know that you have a bit of a sensitivity to peppermint, but that can happen where like you overeat strawberries or something that can develop over time. But there aren't proteins within these essential oils. So allergic isn't possible, but intolerances or sensitivities, sure. And anyway, she said she couldn't do lavender, and she was having a vertigo attack actually, and she felt so awful. And at the time, we were just starting to use the oils, me and my friend, and she had lavender and frankincense, so she brought that over, and she's like, "Well, I can't feel any worse than I do now, so go ahead and try." And
Yeah.
she did end up using the lavender, and within an hour, she was able to start moving around. It started to shift things and help her get out of that experience. And she has realized that she can handle a pure lavender oil. It was that,
The
a
synthetic.
lot of times this industry isn't regulated. And when you're looking at your healthcare, what I compare it to is if you want to know every particle inside of a pharmaceutical drug, and then I would want to know every particle inside of every bottle of essential oil. So I know that every single batch of these oils is tested rigorously to know every single particle inside. So although some third world countries are being used to source some of these oils and it doesn't have an organic stamp because maybe that's really expensive and it's a lot of marketing versus always being authentic. This testing, I know that every particle is checked so that it is that pure oil or they won't accept it. And that means the world to me, and it means the world to me too that they're not taking advantage of that third world country, that they work with something called co-impact sourcing and make a positive effect for them to have a good life and to
Yeah.
support them in their community needs in different ways. I'm getting off topic, and but
Oh, but I fully agree. I mean, I don't know. I mean, doTERRA's direct competitor that I've like tried those oils even just because I got them as a gift. And
mhm.
like the quality just wasn't there. Like I could literally smell and see the quality difference. Like it was thinner. It was like not as like you could smell that it just smelled off. There was just a difference. And
Yeah.
I found anyways. And yeah, I mean, I like too that doTERRA, it's not like, this oil is going to heal your past life trauma, by smelling it. It's like this is going to calm you down because it's aromatherapy, and this is going to boost your immune system. And these are just, straight up herbs. And that's what I really value about doTERRA is that they're not trying to be something that they're not, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
I guess not kind of like a hoopla. What I'm really proud of is that they're really science based.
Yeah,
So
that's
they're
that's totally what I like. Yeah,
yeah,
I want
like
something
they,
that's
they have studies that we can read that are third party tested that are, talking about the chemistry.
yeah,
And they're partnering with doctors, they're creating integrated clinics, which I'm like crazy passionate about because we talked about the sick care and dealing with symptoms. They're now looking at the whole care and the whole person, but looking at emotional, counseling as well as Western medicine, as well as oils being an influence in this, as well as nutrition and massage and acupuncture, looking at what can best serve that whole person. And they're building these. Like they've already have one in Salt Lake City, Utah, and they're building more. I can't wait for the first one's gonna come in Canada. I think first in Vancouver. I'm hoping in Toronto, and here I am in Mexico, but it'll come here soon. um, but it makes such a shift. Like it's a healthcare revolution because we're starting to have our wellness capacity decrease again because too much of a good thing can start to become bad, and now finding this medium for the two worlds to sort of combine is where we need to be. And it's so
yeah,
exciting to be a part of that movement and create that together and create that awareness too.
yeah. I totally like. Well, I mean, I'm not. I guess I'm kind of a part of it just because I use them, but because I don't sell them, I feel less a part of it. But it's really awesome.
Well,
Like
I
I think,
appreciate.
yeah,
Go
and I'm totally on board for it as long as there's science base. Like, don't even get me started on naturopaths. But I think that there because there is science behind a lot of these things, boosting your immune system and actually helping relax you and all those things, then use that and combine it with other things so that people aren't constantly on antibiotics. Like
Yeah.
there's who was I talking to? I think it was a doctor of some sort. They were talking about like how kids nowadays have a lot more allergies, and they think part of that is because the mother doesn't have the strength and the numbers of gut bacteria that she should, and so she's passing on a weaker immune system to her offspring, her kids. And that's happening across the board. The more antibiotics we use, the more we're going to be basically uh, raising immune deficient children. And
Well, and I think
so,
it's also we eat like pseudo foods more. We're not getting the nutrient value because
um,
we haven't put the care into having the minerals back in the soil. And there's like a few documentaries, Food for Change and Food Matters, that I've seen, and it talks just about the shifts that have happened over time, and
yeah,
it does genuinely affect us. And so, um, I currently do use the Lifelong Vitality Pack through DoTerra that made a huge shift for my knees. You know my story, like it's been
mhm,
really great, and they have this 30-day guarantee. So if it doesn't work for you, whatever. But the whole idea is that it's whole food based and that it's actually feeding your cells the micronutrients they need versus just fitting it with more synthetics that you're processing through and you know trying to navigate and stressing your body to try and source out what could be beneficial versus just really giving it food. And I mean, if we could eat that great food and really get everything we need, awesome, that's the best way to be. But I think at this point we
like
do have
even
to try
as
and
like
help ourselves.
even if you were like a vegetarian or you ate super clean and only got organic everything, you would still be, I think they said that the percentage of nutrients in our food is like half of what it was
Yeah.
50 years ago. So, we just are not getting the nutrients. And you think of like how many people don't have a full amount of vegetables and fruit servings in their daily life, on top of the fact that the nutrients that they are consuming is half of what they think they are. So
And
like it's a
we're in first
fraction.
world countries and we're malnourished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, isn't it like the what do they call it? The starving obese or something like that? And it's like
Oh.
the idea is that we have an excess of body weight, but we're actually starving for nutrients.
Yeah,
So
and the reason why we're eating
yeah,
these bad for us foods, like these carbohydrates and the sugars and things, is because we're starving for that energy, but we're not getting it from a source that's actually long-term feeding our systems and feeding our cells. It's just a short fix, which is causing us all this extra stress and digestive issues. Um, so, anyways, I'm thrilled to be a part of a step in the solution. And there's more than one answer, and there's not more than one right way to do it, but we're heading in the right direction. And I can even see in Mexico, in Canada and States, I feel like the community I was with was a little bit more into this natural living. We were a little bit further along on that journey, and I really see it picking up over here, which is really thrilling.
yeah,
Um,
that's awesome.
yeah, to see it is picking up in the world. People are noticing that they need to have the shift.
Well, and it's neat too. Like, I don't know. I tried the networking marketing when I was in college, and I mean that was a long time ago, and I didn't know enough people, and the like thing that I was selling wasn't the greatest choice for sure. And I think like, I contemplated selling doTERRA for a while, but I'm busy enough with my own stuff.
Mhm.
But it's kind of neat because like you're not the only person that I know who's living off of the money that you make from selling essential oils, which is
Well,
awesome.
yeah, and I think what happens too is that network marketing can have an ugly name and a good name. It just depends on the person doing it and also the company that you're with. Like one of the things that somebody told me once was, if you wouldn't invite your mom into this, you're using the wrong product. You're with the wrong company. And
Yeah.
I 100% give oils to my parents and my family. Like I've shared, and so you're one of my best friends. And like if there's any hesitance in yourself about what you stand for and what this is about and people running the company itself, then that's going to show in what you show up as and how it works for you. And I think um, you have to do due diligence really in finding something that really aligns with you and speaks with you too, and that you're very proud of, and that you're a part of the full mission. I think that it's more than just spending our money on something. It's also spending our money towards making a shift for the good in the world, making change, knowing that I'm a part of a global stewardship. Every drop I use is helping some third world country as well, um, and helping my own health. It's just it has it's like high energy, feeding off high energy, creating more good things, and helping you want to step up as a better person. And I totally don't want to be that annoying person who's like, "Hey, you need oils. Hey, you need oils." To everybody I meet, I think it's important we have meaningful relationships. I care about people, and also because I care about people, then I will bring them up as it seems appropriate to support them if they're open to it. But yeah,
But
there's a lot.
that's the thing though too, right? Is that I never felt pushed by you. I never felt pressured. I didn't have to like host a party or anything. I just was curious about it, and I was able to like do it through you. I mean, not saying that I wouldn't have hosted a party. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the time, I was like, I don't know.
Oh, and fair
Now,
enough.
yeah, and now
I
I'm a
also,
bit
I'm
different.
not perfect at this. I mean, we're all gonna, you know,
Well, I remember listening to you when do you remember at your mom's house when you came to
practicing.
California?
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, and you were practicing. And I remember like you going through some of the science part of it, and I was like, oh, it's actually like, there's a lot of science behind it, and it actually like makes sense, which I really liked, and it totally sounds like I'm doing like a sales pitch, but it just was like it made us it made a skeptic like a believer at that point. And then, I mean, the fact that Josh now, like, occasionally he'll even ask for the pill, the flu bomb
Yeah.
is like, whoa, like
And that's
blows
the thing. I
my
think the
mind.
biggest thing is people don't get what essential oils are until they have their big like moment where they go, "Whoa, it did that, or it could do that." I didn't understand. Like it didn't fully
Oh,
connect. You know.
and one other thing that I absolutely love, and this happened this last Christmas. I went with my sister. We were going to Bath and Body Works, and she was getting these like inserts for plug-in incense for the yeah. for Christmas, and she told me that she had to be careful because some of it spilled out and it ate a hole into her floor. And she's like, I don't want my kids who are like under the age of 3 to get a hold of this. And so she's like, I just keep it in these like safe spots and stuff. And I was telling her about doTERRA, but she was kind of like resistant about it, and I just left it. But then I went home and like I freaking love, as you know, because of the amount that I actually bought this last Christmas, of all the like holiday scents. They are amazing, and they fill your whole house with this like beautiful scents around Christmas time, and they're non-toxic. Like it's just,
And they're even beneficial if they're actually
yeah,
supporting your system at the same time. I know I used to get like headaches and not feel well around incense and things, and it's just not what
yeah.
happens to me around these. So
Yeah, I get like asthma attacks. It's terrible.
yeah,
And with this stuff, not even a little bit. Like it doesn't even bother my allergies, doesn't bother my asthma. Even the peppermint stuff that I have an allergy to, it still doesn't bother my asthma. If it's like in the air, it doesn't bother me.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
so amazing. And so thank you so much for sharing so much of your journey. And I know we kind of talked about a few different things, but I think it was really valuable and I super appreciate it. And do you have any last, closing moments if somebody's considering using oil, any last thoughts you might share with them before we head out?
I would suggest just trying it. Just try a few things, like, figure out what it is that you want to do if you want to go the route of like making your house smell nice without having those toxic chemicals. They actually did a study and they showed that the majority of toxins in people's bodies are not actually from pesticides, from vegetables and things. They're actually from cleaning products and air fresheners. So, I
Yeah,
mean,
the air quality of inside our own home is than
worse than outside. So, I mean, it kind of depends on what you want to kind of try first. Like, make your house smell nice. That's what my mom does. She's like slowly getting into it. And she then kind of went down the rabbit hole of like loving it, or like, do you want to boost your immune system? Or is there something else that you want some help with? And I would suggest just trying one thing at a time and just see. If it doesn't work for you, then it doesn't work for you. That's what I would suggest.
awesome. Yeah, I love it. Those who are open to natural solutions, you're just open to give it a try and you go from there. And we're just here to support and help. So thank you
Yeah,
so
and
much.
I have to say, thank you, Deanna, so much for all your support. Like, honestly, you've been incredible. Like, you've been a health advocate for me, which has been like amazing. And I know that, I mean, I part of it, I'm sure, is that we've been best friends forever and ever, but also I think you just do this for all your people, regardless
I
of
do my
like
best.
you do, you totally do, but like it's because you're passionate about it and you really like I can tell, and I remember listening to like you practicing that like you're super passionate about you're passionate about helping people get into a more natural way of healing themselves or of like whatever. And I really, really admire that and I love it. And I thank you so much for all of your support and
Thank
for
you,
being
Maria.
patient with me when I call you a zillion times, even though you gave me a book.
No, I love it. And it's so great to go on the journey with people and just to see it help them and do my best to show up as best as I can to support that. But it's really empowering. And now I know you use your oils with ease and you don't call me every day. But at the beginning, I was looking everything up together and it's worth it because it makes such an impact. So I really appreciate your time. I love you to pieces. And thank you for sharing all this. And hopefully we'll help somebody open up their life to this journey with us. All right.
Sounds good. Bye.
Thank you.